Hello, this is Zahar Hilkevich, and today we're going to see how to solve a problem that can be asked at an interview, technical interview. It's a very simple problem. At the same time, you may want to know a few alternatives for presenting your solutions. So the problem is to count number of rows in a table without using count function and without using any aggregate, any analytic functions. Alright, so we will be counting records in SCAT-EMP table. So we need to produce result which would be identical to this. For that matter, we will be adding a few more expressions to the right from the count to see if results matching. Well, the first and the most apparent approach is to use sum function. We'll be summing number 1, and let's add alias. Why is this working? Well, in order to see that, let's just select 1 from the table and see what we're getting. We're getting 1 on every single row from the table. There are 14 rows, so 1 will be repeated 40 times. So if you put sum on it, apparently you will simply counting it, right? It's identical to counting. And in general, we can say that count star is identical to sum1, pretty much. What if we're not allowed to use sum? Well, we can use row num. Again, the idea is very simple. Let's see what happens when you select row num. Again, you counting rows, right, from 1 to the last one. So all you need to do is to take the last one and it will match the count in their entire set. Well, there are more trickier approaches here available. Let's say, what if we don't want to use any aggregate functions whatsoever? What should we do? Well, if you look at this set from 1 to 14, all we need to do is to find the greatest value. And finding the greatest value, 14, does not require us to use max function at all. Essentially, it's finding the top record from a table, and the table is select row num. So let's put it in a common table expression. Let's rename it with alias. And now all we need to do is to find top row in that table X. That can be done in a number of ways. I like this one, but we will show probably a couple of different approaches. So we will need 2 copies of that CTE. We will alias them with A and B. And let's use ANSI standard SQL syntax for joins. We will use left join. So we will be choosing a rn for which there is no such value of rn in table B that is greater than value in table A. So our joining condition will be a rn less than b rn. Since it's an outer join, for the row of an interest, we will get nothing on the opposite side, on the B side, right? So it will be substituted with null. So all we need to do is to check if BRN is null. Here we go. Well, what else can we do to find the top row? Again, we can start with the same CTE. And we should be looking for the value in that table we may want to again alias it, for which not exists. So there is no value from, and here we don't need to select anything specific, we can select any constant from x. Let's alias it with b, such as that brn is greater than arn. It's very similar to approach with left join, with outer join, and as you will see, it gives us identical result. Okay, so we already found 1, 2, 3, 4 different approaches. What else can we do? Well, I will give you a hint, and this will be your homework assignment. We can use list_tag function, and this function will concatenate number ones in a sum as a text string. So I'll show you the first part. Order by doesn't matter. So this will give us some sort of a sum expression. So let's see what it gives us. It gives us a text result with an expression that, if we evaluate it, would give us 14. So if I copy this, right, and put it in select as whatever from view, right, it should give us 14. So the trick is how to dynamically evaluate this expression. And the hint for doing that is to use XML query. XML query can evaluate this expression and give you the result. Well, so far so good. However, we can look at one derived problem and see that it may slightly change our approaches. What if we need to count number of rows in a certain partition of a table? I'm not talking about physical partition, I'm talking more about conceptual partition. What if we need to count employees by department? So we want to get something like that. If we used count function, we would do it this way. Again, the challenge is to mimic it without using count function. Let's sort it to keep consistent result. Okay, well, sum function can be perfectly used, no problem. Perfect. What about row now? Well, that's not going to work. Let's see. Well, the thing is, row number is not assigned within a partition. So for that matter, definitely it would be easier if we could have used analytic functions, but we agree not to use any analytic functions. So row num is not gonna work, and you should remember that. What about other approaches? Other approaches will work same way as before. So let's just copy this one. So all we need to do here is to add one more condition. We need to make sure that department number is the same, and we need a top row from each department. Well, that's not so simple without using row number function. Okay, how can we mimic row number? Mimicking row number is not so simple without using other aggregate functions. So the only thing you can do, and again, that's not going to be a perfect solution, is if you know those department numbers, if you know that you have only 3, you can use something like that. Or you can just put a constant here, and we can do the same thing for other 2 departments. I don't like this approach, but again, I'm just showing it to you so you would get some ideas of what's available. So if you look at this union, you will see that we mimicked row number analytic function within each department. And again, it's not true substitution because we know which departments are available. Only in this case, this approach will work. So here, all we need to do is to set a condition that department number from both copies of table X is the same. We'll also need to select it. So we'll need to add order by 1. Again, we got the result, but it's not generic. It won't sustain itself if a new department will be introduced. However, if we were allowed to use row number function, analytic function, we could have easily used it this way. We would say row number over partition by department number with department number, and if you check this result, you will see that it gives us, we need order by. Doesn't matter what is the order by here. So it gives us exactly what we want, and the rest of the query won't need to be changed. Alright, that's it for today. Remember that you have homework. I may show the solution on my blog. You need to count using XML query and list egg combination. Have fun.